So basically, this is a summer internship program, and the mode of communication in this will be English, because previously also we had conducted a summer internship program for girls. And let me tell you the story behind this. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam used to tell that, in a society when women are empowered, the society is automatically uplifted. So from that only we derived the idea of this summer internship program. Some of our viewers, pinged us on Instagram that do something for the girls, because many people think that there are less opportunities and less scope given to girls in civil engineering, but it's not like that. Because there are certain things which you know during this post tenure, and also if you had seen our videos in Instagram and YouTube, there are a lot of things which people can do, which girls can also do, and very easily. You just need to have an idea of what are the things and which are the things, like if you go to a site, which are the things you need to go to check. So for that only we have conducted this internship for girls, and there is no fees of this training, but there is only one request, that you make it an interactive session. You learn from here, and whatever questions you want to ask, please ask. Don't hesitate to ask anything. Okay. So this is our summer internship program. This is the 7 day, and this is the first day of this 7 days. So what we're going to do here is that we are going to pick one of our projects. That we are a consultancy firm, that already we have told you. So we are going to pick a practical project which we have already completed, and in that project we'll take you through the entire steps, and which steps of the construction, and what are the things we need to take care of, and how you can just go through the construction process of any building. So basically, as you can see here, this is the 3D exterior view of building. As you can see here, this is a basement plus G+1. So over the basement, there is 2 more floors, as you can see in this picture. But the structural design was done for basement plus G+4. The structural design was done for the basement plus G+4. There is the basement, ground floor, and 4 more floors above it. But they had constructed till now basement plus G+1. So the location of this building is in Bhadrak, Odisha, and this building is used as a commercial building. Actually, Reliance Trend has been done at this place. So this is used as a commercial building, and as you can see, this is the 3D exterior view. As you can see, there are two entrances to this building, and both the ground floor and the first floor are used for the commercial purposes. And the basement, in the front side, we have some shops, and the back side we can give for parking purposes, as you can see in this video further, which we have used for your parking purposes. Now I'll just take you through this, some of the drawings of this building. So before that, let me just pause the share a bit, and then I'll just open the drawings, and then I'll just turn it on once again. Okay, I'm just opening the report and drawings. Okay. So this is our report. I'll just go through all the drawings one by one. Okay. So as you can see here, this is this is a slab. We'll just come to it later. And as you can see, this is your commercial complex, and this is the basement slab details. We'll just cover it later. And here we just want to move towards the foundation part first, and then we'll just cover the remaining portions. We'll move on to our foundation drawings, and after that, okay. So we have our foundation drawings here. As you can see, this is the foundation drawing, and as you can see, it is also written here, reinforcement details of GB2. So what is GB2 here? GB represents grade beam here. As you can see, this is a pile cap, and this is another pile cap, and we have given a grade beam in between. So, and this is your foundation layout, as you can see here, grade beam layout, as you can see, along with the foundation. So we have provided, some of the pile cap, that is, this is a 4 pile and this is a 3 pile. So before that, let us just ask and interact something. So how many of you know what is a grade beam? Please, you can just raise your hand, and then you can speak. Please. There are currently 10 number of participants here. So anyone, what is a grade beam? Come on, just feel free to say anything, because it is an interactive session. If you are thinking that not feeling like saying anything, you can just type in the chat box also. Please. Please, anyone? So I think I am not able to involve all of you. Okay, I'll try. I'll give my best. Let me give my best. So basically, as you can see here, let me just take any member. So basically, as you can see, this we have two numbers of pile caps. So you know what is a pile? We have two types of foundations, that is a shallow foundation as well as the deep foundation. So we had given a pile foundation here, and the grade beam is provided in pile foundation, where you have large amount of loads. So since this is a residential building, so they have given a grade beam here. And as you can see, we have the two piles. Suppose you have the two piles like that, and we have given a grade beam between this. So the specialty of a grade beam is that I just asking again, is anyone is going to tell what is the difference between the grade beam and normal beam? What is the difference between grade beam and any other normal beam? Anyone? Please raise your hands. 9 participants, please. Okay. Okay. So no one is asking anything till now. Okay. So slowly we'll do that. So in a grade beam, what happens is that, the reinforcement at the top and the reinforcement at the bottom is same. It's because it is subjected to tension. Both the ends, just pull each other. So it is subjected to tension both at the top and the bottom. So we have to provide equal number of reinforcements at the top and the bottom of the grade beam. And grade beam, connects two numbers of footing or two numbers of pile caps in this case. Okay. So this is all about the drawing. We'll just discuss the drawings in details. Just going through it now. Now here we have the grade beam details. So along with the grade beam details, as you can see here, we also have the foundation details. As you can see, as I already told you, we have given two types of foundation here. That is, your 4 pile cap and this one 3 pile cap. So 4 pile cap means, there are 4 number of piles, and 3 pile cap means there are 3 number of piles. So before continuing, can I ask a question? How many of you are from second year? Can you raise your hand? Okay, I think you don't have to, your hands will not pain if you just raise your hand, because you just have to click here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 are from second year. And okay, you can raise your hand down. And from third year, 1. So 2 is from third year. And from, okay, you can put your hands down. And 2 are from third year. And from final year students. Final year students. Okay, 1, Ananya ma'am. Okay. So Ananya ma'am is from fourth final year. And anyone who is graduate, who has already passed, completed their course? No one. Okay, we don't have anyone who have graduated yet. So basically, so we'll just do this interaction in such a way everyone can understand. Even the final year student can understand. Even the the second year student can understand. Everyone can understand. We'll do it in such a way. And for that, I'll need your help. You have to ask questions, because anything you want to ask, you can just this is the first class. If you feel like that you don't want to say anything, you can just type in your comment box that this thing I want to discuss in details. I want to know about it in details. You can just type in the comment box, chat box. So, okay, can you tell me can you tell me in the chat box, what is the unit of the soil bearing capacity? What is the unit of the soil bearing capacity? Can you tell me in the chat box? Okay, I haven't got any chat still yet. So there is no one telling. Okay, please give it a try. It's not that if you give a wrong answer, then we have to just scold you or anything. Just give it a try. You don't have to Google also. Just think whatever you think is the answer. Just give it here. To give you Newton per mm square, one answer. Good. Okay, to give you an idea, this is the right answer actually. It's the unit is kilonewton per meter square or Newton per mm square. So basically, because it depends on the footing area, the area of the soil, so that's why, and the load acting on it, that's why the unit is kilonewton per meter square or Newton per mm square, which is the unit of it. And if the soil bearing capacity is, okay, we have got another chat here, let's just take it. Kilonewton per meter square, that's the right answer, Ananya ma'am. So both Ananya ma'am and Asha ma'am has given the right answer. So if the bearing capacity of this particular project was around 19 kilonewton per meter square. So and it was also an area where the water logging problems were there. So that's why we had to go for the pile foundation. And let me tell you once again, this is not just an ordinary internship. This is based on a live project. We have done this project, and that's why we'll be able to take you through all the phases of this project. So feel free to ask any questions, because if you do any internship from anywhere, any company you do, you'll get to know about only one process. Suppose you have gone in the slab casting phase, you will know only the slab casting phase, but it's not here. From here, all the construction steps you'll get to know from A to Z, because we have the complete data, and we're going to explain and show you the entire data. So this is our pile caps, 4 pile caps, and we had provided pile foundation because the bearing capacity was low here. And as you can see, this is the provision for the lifts, and we have we have lift for 10 persons in the front portion and a lift for 16 persons in the back portion, in the middle portion. And as you can see, this plot is not exactly rectangular, as it happens in most of the cases. It's not exactly rectangular, it's tapered kind of. And we have also discussed about the drawings of the grade beam, as well as the pile cap. And we also discussed about the grade beam till now. So these are the basic idea of the drawings of the foundations. And let me just take you. Okay, as you know that this, as you had shown in the picture also, this was a kind of as you can see, this was a kind of, we have a basement here. So this was basically a low-lying plot. So we had to give some basement wall, or the basement portion. So this is the details of the basement wall. The basement wall is a RCC wall basically. So for the second year students, do you know what is RCC wall? What is RCC? You know what is RCC? Or should I tell you? Yes, no, yes. You can just type yes, yes, no. If no one is judging you here. So basically, RCC is reinforced cement concrete, and in RCC we have members of we have cement, we have sand, we have coarse aggregate, which is the concrete, which is the combination of cement, sand, and coarse aggregate is called concrete. And if we add some reinforcement in it, that is a reinforcement which means the steel rebars in it, then it is called RCC. Currently, there are a lot of materials available, like GFRP, CFRP, glass fiber reinforced polymer, and various advanced materials are there which can replace RCC or replace concrete, or provide advanced forms of concrete. But RCC is the basic form of concrete, reinforced cement concrete with steel rebars. So in the basement, RCC walls are given. So these are the details for the RCC wall. As you can see, 8 mm bars and 10 mm bars are used. And if you are wondering what is this 8 at the rate 6 inch center to center, so the diameter of the bar is 8 mm, and all these round bars, as you can see, this diameter of the bars are 8 mm, and they are given at a spacing of 6 inch. So the distance between from here to here is 6 inch. And I can show you the distance. This distance is distance between two. The reinforcement bars is 6 inches, and this one, and this distance is basically the 10 mm bars, which are given at a 4 inch spacing. So as we can see from here, then these are provided like this. The 10 inch bars are given at a spacing of 4 inches. So we'll discuss in detail also about this. Now this is our column details. So here we have an interesting question to ask. Someone has given a chat. Let me just check it. We have an सर घर में कॉलम कहाँ कहाँ पे रहता है कैसे पता चलेगा. So basically Priyanka, sorry, this medium of this instruction is English, so I have to translate your question to English because some people have requested that. So basically she is asking that how do you know that where to provide columns in a house. So let me just go through. We have some structural drawings here and the architectural drawings also here. Let me just take you to the architectural drawing here. As you can see, the built-up area is around 8,471 square feet. So there are certain rules. There are certain rules for assigning columns, which can be also called as some of the thumb rules. The basic concept. Before going through these rules, we have to know the basic concepts behind the structural analysis and structural design. So some of you are from third year. You've already studied, essay 1 and essay 2. So can you tell me what is structural analysis basically? So you can also, so no one is answering, just let me tell you at the end of this class, at the end of this session, I want you to be free and I want you to be telling anything, whatever you think. It's not like you have to mug up a bookish definition and come up here. Whatever you think, what is structural analysis? Let me just tell you, like I have this calculator here. I have this calculator here, and I'm just applying some load on this calculator. So this load is the external load, and after I apply this external load on this calculator, some forces will be developed in this calculator, and these forces are the internal forces, and you can name it as shear force, bending moments. So the shear force, bending moments are the internal forces. So the calculation of these internal forces are called the structural analysis. This is the as simple definition. But means you have any member and some loads are acting on it, and if you finding the value of these loads, finding the value of these internal loads, which are shear force, bending moment, is known as structural analysis. So after the structural analysis is done, we go for the structural design. So if anyone is interested to know what is structural design, please ask. Then only I will tell you what is structural design. And very simply. So you have to understand the concepts of structural analysis and structural design, and how the loads act. But basically, after the structural analysis is done, after we got the values of our internal forces, then we need to provide a size. Suppose this calculator here, as you can see, this calculator here is not able to take all the loads which are generated by the external load, then it will break. So failure will occur. So which size of this calculator is required so that it will be able to take this load? So this is called design. The checking of the sizes or the checking of the orientations so that it can bear the internal forces. This is called design. So if it can bear the internal forces, then it is pass. If it cannot, then it's fail. Suppose, for example, you have provided a column here, and the size of the column is 450 into 250, and if it is able to bear all the internal forces which are generated in this building, then it is pass. Otherwise, it is fail. So this process of checking whether it's pass or fail from the internal forces is called structural design. As simple as that. And if you still didn't understand, just please raise your hand. I'll just communicate and just clear all your doubts. And so the question of Priyanka ma'am was that she had asked how to think how to assign the position of columns. So basically there are some rules which I told. Suppose in a residential building, in every 80 to 100 square feet, you need to provide one columns. So if you have a building of say 1600 square feet, so 1600 divided by 80, you do it. So it will be a minimum of 20, maximum of 20 number of columns. If you divide it by 100, then you will have 16 number of columns. So in a plot area or a built-up area of 1600 square feet, you can provide 16 to 20 number of columns. So what is built-up area, which is written here? What is this built-up area? So there are two types of basic area. Very basics we'll discuss. Two types of area are there. One is plot area. Plot area, the area of the plot. The area of the area which you get for constructing is called the plot area. And the built-up area is the area which you select or choose for constructing the building. Because you will not, build your house in the entire plot. You leave some space for gardening. You leave some space for, walking, or any fire safety purposes, or any ventilation purpose. You leave some space in the front side, in the back side, and the sides, both the sides. You leave some space there. So this, after leaving this space, the area in which we actually construct the building is called the built-up area. So this is the built-up area, and for the built-up area in a residential building, for every 80 to 100 square feet, we need to provide one number of columns. And there are also some other aspects of providing columns, which we will discuss slowly. I have given one aspect in today's class, and some other aspects. Please remind me, Priyanka ma'am. We'll just discuss in details. One aspects we'll discuss in all the classes. So we have provided columns here. As you can see, these are the columns which we have provided, and this is the architectural plan of the the bottom portion. So before that, let us just go back to the structural drawings, and we'll just check the columns. Yeah. So the screen is visible, I hope. So these are the columns which we have used here. So as you can see, these are the column details. So let us just zoom in. So the client wanted this, in feet and inches. That's why you provided it. It's 1 feet 4 inch to 2 feet 6 inch columns, and the reinforcement used are of 20 mm, 25 mm, and the ties used here are of 8 mm. So can anyone tell me the difference between tie and stirrup? Come on. We have 8 number of participants among all of you. Anyone? Okay. Ananya ma'am, please speak. Please go ahead. You can unmute yourself and just. Ananya ma'am, you can speak right now. Okay, I think she is not hearing. Okay, another one, Ankita ma'am, you had also raised your hand. Can you just unmute your mic, and then you can just. Priyanka ma'am has said tie is in beam and stirrup is in column. Okay, do you agree with it? Tie is in beam and stirrup is in column. Ties mean to hold the column, and stirrups means beams. So Ananya ma'am has given the right answer. Priyanka, you just mixed it up. So tie is given in columns and stirrup is given in beams. Both are the same thing, but they're called, the nomenclature or the naming is different in both the things. So these are the difference between tie and stirrups. So we have given here 8 mm ties, and the longitudinal reinforcement which have been given here are, as you can see here, the red ones are of 20 mm. So we have 4 bars of 20 mm and 4 bars of 25 mm. So 4 bars of 20, 4 bars of 25 are the main reinforcement or the longitudinal reinforcement, and 8 mm bars at the rate 18 center to center are the ties or the transverse reinforcement. So there is one another thing, that is the main reinforcement are also called the longitudinal reinforcement, and the ties are also called the transverse reinforcement. So these are the columns which have been given here. Total number of columns given here are, we'll just go back to our architectural plan, and then we'll just discuss here. Let us just take the total number of columns given here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. So 34 number of columns which have been provided here, and let me just divide it. 8, 7, 8, 4, 7, 1 divided by 34. We have here 249. So for every 249 or 250 square feet, we have given one column. So one column takes the load of approximately 249 square feet. So it's a commercial complex, and anyone wants to speak? Anyone wants to speak? Ask anything, please feel free. Okay, so it's a commercial complex. That's why that there is the size of the columns is more, and if you give less number of columns, then the size of the columns will obviously be more. And in a commercial complex, we require some free spaces. Like we have a shopping mall here. So in the shopping mall, we don't want many columns. We don't can have columns in between them, so that we can just ensure that maximum space is free. So that's why we have provided like that. Around 250 square feet, we provide one column. But in a residential building, for every 80 to 100 square feet, we can provide one number of columns. So that's our the plan for the, as you can see, the plan for the first floor. This is the ground floor, and okay. So basically, this is the ground floor, and the ground floor, as you can see, as you had seen the 3D diagram also, this is the ground floor. This was the basement. This is the ground floor, and we have a ramp here, another ramp here. As you can see, these are the two positions for the entry to the ground floor, and there is a lift with a staircase also here, and this is the shopping mall part in the ground floor. This is symmetrical. Another lift we have here, and in lift only the basement shear walls are given. So this is all the architectural plan of the ground floor, first floor. Moving on to the first floor. The first floor is also similar because it is a shopping mall. Just have a toilet here, and all the remaining things are similar in the first floor. Now moving on, this is the basement. So what is the basement in this picture? As you can see, this portion is the basement portion. So in the basement portion, we have given space for some shops. As you can see in the 3D also, 1, 2, 3 number of shops are there. So this is the space for the shops. This is the entry, and then we have our parking. Because in any commercial building complex, you need to give facility of parking. So this is the parking. This is the security room, and as you can see, all the parking details are given. So just let us say that you have just received all these documents as an engineer, and you have been handed over the project. So what is the first thing you need to do? You have the 3D drawing, you have your architectural plan, you have the structural drawing, you have all this data. And now, what is the first thing you need to do? Can I get an answer in this? Okay. For starting any construction projects, you have all the drawings. Then what is the first thing you need to do? Okay, anyone? Okay. There are some 10 participants here. No one is answering. I hope that I get to involve all of you soon. I'll try to give my best for that, so that you guys don't hesitate to ask any questions. So basically, just let us just discuss our construction steps. So the first step in any construction is the site visit. So what is site visit? Why do you need site visit? I have all the drawings, and I want to start the construction of this project, and why I need site visit? Anyone can give any answer for that? Okay, let us just discuss. So basically, as I told you, this was our live project of B+G+4 building, which is designed and which is constructed for B+G+1, that is basement and 2 floors above it. So basically, this was the site. So as you can see, there are some pictures here. So what are these pictures? Let us discuss here. So as you can see, this is some of the land document. Before starting the constructions, you need to check the land document also, because it shouldn't be such that you have taken the project, and then in between the government comes and tells, okay, this project is in the government land, you can construct on that. You don't want to have any sort of such difficulties. So you have to check the land document. The land document is made by the approval authority of that area, and the person is called Amin in the local language. Amin means someone who makes land use maps. So he makes the maps of the land. As you can see here, there are some road demarcations here. So we have a front road here, and this is at the side also we have a road here. And this area on the detailed area and the surroundings directions are also given in your map of the given by the Amin or the land document. So after we have the land document, we need to check the site conditions. So as you can see, this was our site when we went there, and the site was like this. It was a bit down from the road. It was a bit at a distance, a little lower distance from the road, and water logging was also there. And as you can see, this building as a V-Mart mall. V-Mart is a brand of the mall, and it was located at the left side of this plot. In the back side, we had some residential complexes. In the right side, we had a Kacha road. As you can see, this is the Kacha road, and the right side also. And there were some electric poles also in this side. And sand filling was already done at that time before we went there. So let us just take you through the site visit and we'll discuss. Okay, I'm just turning on the video which you had made. Okay, are you guys getting any sound? I'll just turn off the sound. Okay. So this is the video, as you can see here. So the sand filling was already done. This is our V-Mart mall, as you can see. And water logging problems, as you can see, this is the road. This is the side road. This is not the front road. This is the side road, which is the Kacha road. And these are some residential buildings. And as you can see, we have an electrical transformer and electrical poles also. So I'll tell you why I'm just noting down these points: electrical transformer and electrical poles. Now, just moving on, as you can see, this is our. Okay, then just skip too much. So this is our front side. As you can see, now see what is the difference between the front side and the. And you can see that this is the road level. This was the road level, as you can see here. This was the road level, and this was their plot level. So there is some difference of more than 5 feet from the road level to the plot level. More than 5 feet, 6 feet distance between the height difference between the road level and the plot level. So while coming to a site, we need to observe certain points, which we'll discuss in today's class, and then all the remaining things we'll discuss in the upcoming classes also. So we'll just continue the video. As you can see, we have an electric pole here, and this is the boundary. And another question I want to ask, as you can see, this is the boundary, and you can see some holes have been made. Is this visible? There's some holes which have been made in the boundary wall. Can anyone tell what is the purpose here also? We have holes with pipes. What is the purpose of these holes which have been done in the boundary walls? Come on. Now this.
To avoid water logging.
Yes, Ashmita ma'am, you have given the right answer. This is done to prevent the water logging. Actually, as you can see here, that the road level was at a higher distance from the plot level. So this was given so that in case of any rainy seasons, or in case of any moisture related conditions, the water logging doesn't occur. All the water which is trapped due to the soil filling can come out through these walls. Otherwise, this walls will just break and this wall will just fail. And another thing, as you can see in this video, the site conditions. Let the video just complete, and then we'll discuss. These were the boundary conditions. As you can see, this is a plot of approximately more than 9,000 square feet. Built up area was 8,400 square feet, and it was located. And the front side there was a main road, so it's a good location for commercial complexes. So as you can see, these holes are given everywhere, so that that they feel some sand or anything. This is the electrical transformer. Now let us just tell some points. If you have a copy, just to note down some points which you need to consider in your site visit. And the recording of this video will also be given, and which will be uploaded, and the link will be given to you, so you can watch after that also. But for now, you can just write certain points which you need to consider while going to the site. So the first point which we need to consider is your connectivity. So what is connectivity? You can just pen it in your own words, but let me just describe it briefly. Connectivity is you have to check whether the site is accessible by roads. As you can see, there was a front road. You can have a front road here. Here there was a front road, as you can see here. Just play this video. There was a road at the front. This road at the front, and we have a road at the side, which is this Kacha road at the right side. So this is the front road, and this is the right side road, as you can see here. Here, this was the front road, and this is the right side road. This is the Kacha road, and this front side was a bitumen road. So these were the connections, and we have to check the accessibility because or the connectivity, because we need to ensure whether the materials will be properly available at the site or not. We have to procure materials by the help of trucks, with the help of vehicles. So whether the vehicles can come directly to the site or not, for that we have to check the accessibility. And also the second point which you need to check is the site conditions. Some of the site conditions you need to check, because you need to check whether the site conditions are appropriate for your storage of materials. Because practically speaking, when you start any construction projects, you will also have the estimation. You will know the total quantity of materials which will be used in this project. So if you procure a bulk quantity of materials, like if we have suppose we need 2000 bags of cement in this project. So if you procure at least 1000 bags, then don't have to worry for the cement procurement again and again. Procurement is buying and making it available at the site. So if we have position for storage of cement, storage of sand, coarse segregate and bricks, then will be beneficial for us. So in this project, what we did is, that as you can see in the front portion, we had stored the sand and coarse segregate, and the back portion we had asked the client to give us some make a hutment so that we can store the cement. So that's how we had done, and these all activities we had planned during our site visit. So when you go for the site visit, you had planned this or these site conditions. And the third point which we need to consider is the electricity and water connection. For the smooth passage of any construction, you need the electricity, because you'll do the rod bindings, rod cuttings, you will do the curing works, you'll need water for that. So suppose some works will be done at night. For that also you need electricity. The electricity is very essential for any construction works. So you need to check whether the electricity or water and both of these things are available at the site or not. And the fourth point which you need to check is your plot. So plot dimensions. So now let me just I mentioned earlier also that you need to check whether the plot is not in the government area or not. It is in the owner's area. So for that, I had told that some Amin comes and he gives a site map. So you have to check whether the dimensions are as per the site map or not, which you can't do manually, because as you can see, this is 9,000 square feet plot. And this plot, you have plots in such a high scale, you need to do survey. Now, what is survey and how do you do survey? We'll discuss this. And anyone wants to tell, you can just tell. Okay, survey is done basically, to measure the dimensions of the land accurately, and we'll discuss in detail in the next construction activity about this survey. So by the survey, you'll get the accurate, the dimensions of the plot. The survey can be done with the help of a total station instrument. Some of you might heard this, which of you are in third year, fourth year, you might have heard of this instrument, total station. With the help of the total station, you can just measure the accurate, the dimensions of the plot. So this is the fourth point. And the fifth point is that, again, some site conditions. So in the fifth point, what you want to tell is that, as I have shown you, we have some transformer here, electric transformer here. So suppose we are just constructing a building. I don't want it to be in a hazardous zone. Suppose we want to construct a D+4 building here. So we have to shift this transformer so that the people who are constructing the building, they are safe, and also the occupants are safe. You can't have this transformer here. So you also have to add up the cost for transferring this electric transformer to other place, so that the safety of the workers and the safety of the inhabitants of the building is also maintained. So these certain things you need to consider before during any site visit. So I hope all these 5 points are clear, and if you have any doubts, you can just raise your hand and you can ask your questions. So anyone have any doubts regarding that? Okay, you don't have any doubt that's not possible. It's probably that I couldn't involve you. Okay, we'll try our best to make this session interactive. So in today's class, we just discussed about our training program, our internship program, which points we will cover in this internship program. The next point is our site layout, which we'll discuss in the next class, and we'll discuss in brief here, and in the next class we'll discuss in detail. So basically, we'll be dealing with a live project of a G+4 building, which has been constructed for G+1. G is for basement, G is for ground floor, and +1 means one more floor above it. So the building design was for basement plus ground floor and 4 more floors above it. The purpose of this building was for commercial purpose. Purpose of this building is for commercial purpose, and in this building, in this internship, will take you throughout all the activities of the construction of this building. So among all the activities, among all the construction activities, the first step we discussed is your site visit. In the site visit, we discussed about 5 points. So hope all these 5 points are clear, which you need to take into account while doing any site visit. And if you have any question, you can ask right now, or else we'll just wrap it up after giving a brief idea about the layout. So any questions? I'm just waiting for questions, please. Anything you can ask. Okay. So basically, we had just given, yeah, please speak. Someone had just unmuted the mic. You can just please raise your hand and then you can speak. Anyone? No. Okay. So the next step which you have, okay, sir. So you're not audible. Can you just?
Actually, sir, I have to make an announcement before you wrap up the class. I need to make an announcement.
Sure. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Om from Civil Center. The announcement is regarding the free internship for the girls. So if any of your friend is interested in this free internship, they can join us. And I will give the link after the session in the group. Okay, so you can share that link with your friends so that they can join and take the benefits of this internship. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks Om for this announcement. As Om sir had told, if any of your friends are interested in this internship, the mode of this internship will be in English. So they're from South or anywhere, they want this. They want to do an internship program. As some of the girls had also missed the earlier internship, they also can join. And because when all of you guys will come and you will interact, then it will be more knowledgeable session, because everyone will have a point to share. And let me repeat again, I don't want this to be a one-way session. I'm a professional having 2.5 years of experience, and I want to share all my experiences with you, and with all respect and with all the fun which you can do related to civil engineering concepts. Anything you can ask, and if you want, we'll just I'll just request to provide some some of the reviews of the students of our previous training as well. You can see that how freely they had asked questions and how the doubts were cleared, so that you don't hesitate to ask anything. And please bring your friends also, so that we can just learn more about civil engineering together. So that was all, and we'll just move on to the layout portion. So basically, when the layout is, what is the layout? Okay, anyone has any idea what is layout? Okay, so anyone of you is not telling anything. So we'll just wrap up this class right now, because I want this to be an interactive session. And the next class, hope we'll ask some questions and we'll just interact. And after that, we'll just continue these classes. Okay, we'll just continue these classes from the layout part. Okay, so we'll end this session for now. I'll meet you in the next class. And in the next class, please be interactive, and you can just bring more of your friends also. And after you complete this internship, I guarantee you that you'll be knowing a lot of things, lot of new things about this construction sector, construction industry, and you will be happy, and you'll be that you have joined this course. So please make it an interactive session. Please ask questions. Please ask all your doubts which you have, so that you can learn. This is not a classroom. No one is going to scold you for asking anything. You can ask basic to basic questions. Anything you can ask, because you are here to learn. Don't feel like anyone is asking, will judge you. No one is judging you. You can ask anything. Just feel free to ask anything, and we'll continue. We'll continue from layout in the next class. So see you in the next class. We'll just wrap it up for now. Bye everyone.